Disclaimer.
What's the best example of women not understanding a man's body that you've ever heard? One of my exes got it in her head from Cosmopolitan magazine that if she squeezed my balls I'd make a funny noise. The noise I made was, I think I'm gonna go home. Too many ball squeezers out there. WTF, ladies. That magazine should be burned. It's the only publication I believe has no business existing. It does women a grave disservice with its ridiculous information. Like poisoning your loved one with laxatives if you suspect that they're cheating. Suspect, mind you, not know. Not that you should do that even if you know for sure, but still. A coworker of mine was super disappointed that her partner didn't have an erection all the time, that he thought she was attractive. Apparently she went to the bathroom and to get a drink and he wasn't hard when she came back. She was sad that she had to break up with him because he's lying to her about finding her attractive. I'd be in real trouble if I had an erection every time I found someone attractive. I'd also be 11. Did you correct her? And poor dude. I did my best to be kind and clear that she was misinformed. How did she react? Because that's a big misunderstanding. I was pretty sure she didn't believe me. After trying to convince her that I'm somewhat of an authority on the topic as I've had a penis for decades, I gave up. Sometimes people who are super pretty don't live in the same world as the rest of us. She has a kid now, so she must have been successful to some degree. I've got a cousin who lost one of his balls. One day over the years, the conversation came up around my grandma and she says, it's a shame. He'll only ever be able to have boys or girls, but not both once he is kids. The whole room went dead quiet until someone was like, "Excuse me?" She says, because he only has one. He can only either have boys or girls. I don't know how long she believed this or even if we truly convinced her otherwise, but she was absolutely sure that one ball made boys, one made girls, and that was just how it all worked, and to this day the conversation stands out so vividly. When I was a teenager, one of my friends had a sister about 3 years younger. One day, she asked him how big the stick he used was. Friend was confused, and she clarified. When you beat off, how big is the stick you hit your penis with? Edit, bunch of us sitting around, laughing at what we used to believe. That the sperm crawled across the bed while mom and dad were asleep, for example. Buddy says his sister Lucy thought we used actual sticks to beat off. We're all WTF, and he tells the story above. We all howl with laughter. And, no, she wasn't evangelical or sheltered at all, she was actually a nice kid, and Buddy let her know without, demonstrating what actually happens. I want to know how this ended, lol. At the age of 25 I had a one-night stand, and after I came she asked why it became flaccid again and thought I didn't want any more sex. I'm not sure what kind of power machine her ex was, but she thought that a man was always erect when he was aroused, even after ejaculation. Edit, I get some weird-ass comments about this. I, a girl, had the same misconception due to my first BF being a teen and us never going past one, and my second being able to just keep going. My fiancé was very upset when I didn't understand, and thought that we could keep going, and he had to explain that it was physically uncomfortable for him to be touched after ejaculation. I was worried he had a health problem, and he had to then calmly give me sex ed. XGF punched me in the balls playfully, and as I folded in pain, she asks, "It hurts when I punch you in the penis?" No, it doesn't hurt, it's just a little bit of absolutely excruciating pain. It's hard to explain a nut tap though, like it's not like pain that you have after a surgery, but it like resonates all over, so everything just fucking hurts. It damages the spirit. It's kinda like getting punched in the nose, but if that pain from your nose resonated through the entire head. Thinking that erections are 100% controllable/voluntary. Trying to explain random boners to my wife was extremely difficult. Trying to explain why I sometimes lose mine if I'm stressed or anything else is also hard. Oftentimes they take it as a personal offense. My wife and I have been super stressed lately, and it's affected my performance in the bedroom. Been married 5 years, it's never been a problem. She thought I wasn't attracted to her anymore, or something. That was a tough one to explain. Been there. My drive has been low for a long time, but when I'm on my medication, keeping it up is borderline impossible unless I'm literally not moving. If my heart rate starts to increase, bye-bye boner. While I was occasionally able to keep a boner, I could sometimes go for an hour and not finish, just end up giving up. On the flip side, when I'm off my meds, since we tend to go weeks without sex, the polar opposite happens. That different men have different refractory periods, time required to recover between orgasms. Some men require mere moments, others require several hours, but this young lady at a work event was convinced that if you couldn't get hard again within minutes, you obviously weren't that into it. Another one I overheard in high school was, if he comes a lot, that means he really enjoyed it. While this could be true, it is not a guarantee by any margin. Remember when I was in HS and overheard a group of girls in the corner of the room talking about one's boyfriend coming 15 times last night? I immediately laughed out loud and deadpan said to her, "Not possible." OFC, the why not came and I joked he'd be dead. Obviously maybe it would be possible, but dear God, I know I would be a lifeless husk after that. I had to enlighten a female coworker once after she made a comment about guys not being able to pee unless we are hard. She was 35 at the time. For a very long time I, a woman, assumed that men couldn't pee if you were hard. Edit, okay, so it seems most men, but not all, can pee when you're hard, but you prefer not to because it can be unpleasant and or take a lot of effort and or be difficult to aim. You can, but it's not pleasant. I once worked with a girl who believed all the sperm that made daughters lived in one nut and all the sperm that made sons lived in the other nut, and that since my BIL lost a nut he could only have all boy children or all girl children, depending on which nut he lost. When I looked to my other coworker for support, she shrugged and she wasn't sure. Look it up. Shot in the dark, they got this from Scrubs? Before an understanding of modern genetics and chromosomes, early 1900s, this was the prevailing view of sex determination. It dates back to the ancient Greeks. Sometimes it simply just won't get up and it's not you. I feel like this needs to be talked about more. I had a partner that this would happen to sometimes and he would feel so embarrassed and ashamed of himself. I would tell him I wasn't upset and it's just something biological or unconsciously something psychological. I really feel bad for men in this department because from what I've heard there's more women that I thought that shamed men for this. An ex thought that when we sit on the toilet, the penis just casually rests on the toilet seat, enjoying the view. Women will never experience the horror that is having your penis scrape the underside of a public toilet bowl lid. I leave mine on the counter next to the sink until after I've washed my hands. I woke up this morning with a bad hangover, and my penis was missing again. This happens all the time, it's detachable. I told them to check in the medicine cabinet because, for some reason I leave it there sometimes. In college I was in a design class and somehow one of the girls got on the topic of erections and asked the nearby guys, myself included, how does the bone shrink when it goes back down? In utter confusion, we asked, do you think the dick has a bone in it? She responded yes with a confused face and said, yeah, that's why they call it a boner, right? I mean it at least had some literary logic behind it. I'm a guy and that's how I thought it works until my smart friend explained me how it really works. Right idea, wrong species. Well, I mean, humans are one of only a few mammals that don't have an actual bone for an erection. Tons of women don't know the difference between flaccid and hard and shower and grower dicks. There are lots of men have really small flaccid dicks normally but get 3 to 4 times the size when aroused. I've had to explain this to several women in my life. The funniest time was the first time I had sex with a girl. I took off my pants and I was flaccid. I'm a grower, not a shower. And I could tell she immediately thought I had a small dick. I told her I was a grower and she said that my dick can't just grow. After a few minutes I got hard and she just seemed super surprised and confused that my dick was bigger from a few minutes ago. I honestly thought it was funny. I always hated that I was a major grower. Small AF flaccid, but reasonable hard. My current girlfriend said she likes it that way because it's really easy to tell when I'm actually hard. Definitely makes me feel better about the situation. Same with my BF. For some time he wouldn't let me see it flaccid. Even later it took some convincing that even though I love it a little more when it's hard, because why wouldn't I? That often means that I make him excited, which I'm happy about. I honestly like it either way. And yeah, it's good to be able to see how it changes. Also, it seems practical that he can put it away easier when it's not in use, unless random boners. My GF's female friend was amazed to hear that a man doesn't have to masturbate every day. She genuinely thought that a man cannot hold semen in for more than 4 days. She is 33 and had 3 long-term relationships. Maybe her first boyfriend told that lie and then she told the second and third boyfriend that she knew of the fact and they went along with it because they thought it would result in more sex. My first serious boyfriend told me that if guys didn't masturbate regularly then the cum would rot in their balls. I was 12 and terrified for my boyfriend's testicles. If I'm remembering my old biology class right, any unused sperm just gets absorbed back into the body after a certain amount of time. The body just recycles it. That is correct, you have a good memory. Similar to this, my ex-wife had no idea about wet dreams. We had gone about a month without sex and I hadn't masturbated in all that time either. So one morning I got up and realized I had to change the sheets. Why would you just come on the sheets and sleep in it? Why not just go to the bathroom? I had to explain it wasn't masturbation, it was just an involuntary thing. If you go too many weeks without ejaculating, it'll come out when you sleep. She was flabbergasted. No previous boyfriend ever had this happen. So I explained that if you're ejaculating regularly, through sex or masturbation, it doesn't happen. She had this big hang up about not wanting me to masturbate because she wanted me to save my orgasms for her. But she also hadn't been in the mood for a while. So my body did what the body does. I've always been gentle with every girl I was foreplaying with, unless I was asked to do other stuff, you know, the usual meme stuff that their clit ain't a button and so on. One day though I found a girl that wasn't aware that the thing I had between my legs was not a joystick of an arcade game. It hurt so bad I couldn't touch it with a bit of force for a couple of days. It really got me thinking though. Edit, while this blew up, thanks for the award too, stay healthy boys and girls, please, limit your grip power. Part of sex ed should definitely be showing girls that the penis skin is attached, so yanking down too far is incredibly painful. Damn, I felt that. First girlfriend I ever had blew my dick like a birthday candle. Honey, blow is just an expression, you gotta suck that thing. I just spent way too long looking for a gif of Chevy Chase back doing the news on SNL. He used to do the thing where he pretended to be in the middle of the phone conversation when the camera cut to him at the start of the news segment, say something awkward/funny, notice the camera and hang up. No, you don't blow on it. That is just an expression. Reminds me of that video where he tells her to shake it like she's trying to get ketchup out of a bottle and she starts banging on the end of it. Every girl who treats my balls like a speed bag or produced their checking for ripeness at the market while messing around. Back in the 90s and early aughts there were actually magazine articles in women's magazines suggesting it as erotic. No idea what they were thinking. I can't remember which one, it was a major one like 17 or something, but when we were in the Navy, we were killing time, and one of the girls brought the magazine into our work center and she was asking us if the sex tips in that issue were really good, and I can't remember how many there were, but about half of them were things that would do absolutely nothing for us, and the other half were things that just sounded outright painful or uncomfortable. Sounds like Cosmopolitan. Their sex tips were really tone deaf. I read a tip that said to do the helicopter, where you sit on your guy's dick and spin around. I would never put my husband or myself through that. And there were plenty of tips about grabbing your man's balls, too. I imagine to give the helicopter effect, you have to crab walk in a like circle to get enough speed, while also making helicopter noises. Get to the choppa. At least they don't try to flick them like watermelons. Had something hilarious happen with an XGF. We were out for a birthday party and both of us got absolutely hammered. Come about 4 a.m. I get up to go to the toilet and my drunk self decides that the nearby bin in my room is the toilet. Girlfriend sees that I'm peeing everywhere so she gets up and helps me aim into the bin. Now here comes the strange part, while she's aiming she starts jerking my dick like it's a handjob. I hazily begin to remember this the next morning and we start talking about it with a laugh. Then I asked her why did she start jerking it. She said I thought you had to do a jerking motion to make the pee come out. Cue about an hour of me laugh crying about it. Your girlfriend milked you. Supersoaker? My girl wanted to watch me pee just to entertain herself. Apparently it's her first time to see a man take a piss. When I was done, I shaked it. Her eyes went wide and her jaw dropped. She asked, "Why are you doing that? Isn't that painful?" I laughed and did it again. She screamed "STOPPP." One time I was watching my BFP and asked if I could aim for him, and he just goes, "Go for it," so I just aimed his dick while he peed. He started laughing and I started laughing, so I let go and he peed all over and was like, "Why'd you let go?" And then we both started laughing more. Edit: I really can't wait to show my BF that my highest upvoted Reddit comment is about me holding his wang. Thank you for the silver also. To be honest, you can never trust the stream. LOL. This reminds me when I was pulling on my earring and my BF was so freaked out by it, saying it looked painful. My ex once asked me, "Can I hold it while you pee?" I've always wanted to, seemed an odd request, but I saw no reason not to. My ex did the same thing. LOL. If the shoe was on the other foot I'd be curious too, so I'm always down to give a tutorial. I also asked my first BF to let me watch him pee once. Not sexual at all, just curious. I love showing girls that when it's soft, it's like Play-Doh. You can twist it and bend it all sorts of ways. However, ladies, don't get any ideas like that when it's hard. I had an ex who had several poses that he would fold his dick and balls into, kind of like a clown with balloon animals. I don't remember most of them, but there was definitely a hamburger and maybe an elephant. My boyfriend folds his into itself when it's soft and it freaks me the fuck out. It looks so uncomfortable. However, it always makes me giggle when the balls are moving on their own. Men do not need to be aroused to get a boner. Morning wood and random salutes can happen regularly, and can be embarrassing for some guys. The worst can be the half-arsed, "Just letting you know, I'm ready," when you are chief semi-boner that isn't enough to tuck into the waistband, so you end up trying to reposition via the pocket, but then realize you look like you're either looking for lost gold in the depths of your khakis, or playing with yourself. Leaving you to walk away, in excruciating embarrassment, silently cursing Dinkle and his half-salute. If I'm super tired, I'll randomly get a boner and then get even more drowsy. It was annoying as hell working night shift. It's like my penis was trying to put me to sleep. Half salutes are the worst. Like I can manage a full salute pretty well, but a half salute is just like, "Nah, I ain't being tucked away, but I'm not gonna behave either, fuck you." Oh. I remember this one. I used to work at this store and this guy came in asking for tampons for men. He came in and he was walking, not normally. Like he had just gotten kicked in the nuts or just had a vasectomy. If you know the walk, you know the walk. He was a regular. Nice guy. Knew him for years. He was really embarrassed by it. His GF was waiting in the car. I asked him to clarify. He said tampons for men. See? His junk had started bleeding and he freaked out. Told his GF. She told him it happened to everyone. She got hers when she was a teen and she was surprised it took him this long to get it. She told him everyone is shocked when it happens for the first time. Confused? So was I. I told the guy that men didn't get periods. We're not supposed to bleed down there. He told me his GF told him it was normal. That he should get a tampon and shove it up there. I told him it wasn't. Again. Men don't get periods. It isn't normal, and if your dick is bleeding then you need to get to the hospital. He got confused and penguined back to his car. I saved that man from a fate worse than death. How bad is sex education that causes them to think this way? Don't know what to tell you, bud. My sex ed from my parents was always get consent, always wear a condom and don't be a dick, and at school the only thing I remember was the teacher showing us a bunch of pictures of STDs and telling us that if we got pregnant it wouldn't be like Friends where Rachel would always be with her friends having fun and going to parties. Then again, I did space out for most of high school, so I can't put that on them. Although I have always wondered whether she was always that ignorant or if she cheated on him, gave him an STD and covered it up. Dude was a goddamn idiot though. My sex ed from my parents was to give me a puberty book that covered both male and female development, no talking done, and this was only after I got my second period. Never told my mom or anyone about the first, and my sister ratted me out with the second, and school sex ed, all girls Catholic school, came from a representative from a period products company, no pics or videos included. Had a refresher with the sex ed pre-university, mixed sexes denominational school, and I was the only one who knew boys and men could be raped because I would actually read stuff outside of any school's curriculum. I hate to think where he would have shoved the tampon, good lord. It's been 7 years and every time I think of that I shudder. It's not only the shoving that scares me, but eventually it's gotta come out. If you are here for the first time and you liked the video, like it. Subscribe to support me and hit the bell so you don't miss new videos. You can also watch other videos by going to the channel. I will be pleased if you like them.